This video is about using loops in Python. There are two different ways of doing loops. The first one is called a while loop, which is what we're going to study for the next week. And this program is going to show you how to write code using a while loop and how it actually works. So let's say I want to write a program that will, when I run it, I see this in the Python shell. So what do I see? I see counting 1, counting 2, counting 3, counting 4, counting 5, and then I see all done. So this program is basically counting from 1 to 5, and when it's finished, it's printing the message all done, and it's showing me the count, it's printing out the count. Now, even if we didn't know anything new, we could easily write this program. We could just write 5 print statements for each of the counting, and a sixth one saying print all done. So we're just printing out strings, right? Printing the string counting :1, printing the string counting :2, all the way up to five prints for the counting and 1 print for all done. So that would be no fun. So what if I wanted to count from 1 to 100? Will I write 100 print statements? That would be, a lot of copy pasting and editing to do. So there is a shorter way of doing this, which is using what's called a loop. And you use a loop when you see that you are repeating something that's very similar, not exactly the same, but something very similar. So on each counting line of output, the counting colon looks the same. It's only the number that's changing. So this is how we would write a Python program to give us this output, that where we are counting from 1 to 5. So first of all, we need a variable. You can call it whatever you want. I've called it counter, and I've given it the value 1 because I want to start counting from 1. And then this is the whole loop that I've written. So you write the word while, because this program shows us how to use a while loop. So you write the word while, and then you have a test, just like in an if condition, or just like when you write an if, you have a test or a condition. When I say test, I mean something that gives you true or false. When I say a conditional expression or a condition, it's the same thing. It's something that is going to give us true or false. So while counter is less than or equal to 5, while the value of the variable counter is less than or equal to 5, I want to do these two steps that are indented after the colon. So these two steps are called the body of the while loop. So what do I want to do in the body of the while loop? I want to print counting colon, and then I want to print the value of the variable counter. And then what do I want to do? Well, I want to increase my counter by 1, because the next time I print it, I want it to be 1 more. So look at this assignment statement. This is not an equation in math. This is not saying x equals x plus 1, because x will never be equal to x plus 1. This is saying that take the variable counter, add 1 to its value, and make that new value, which is 1 more than what it is, give it back to the variable counter, assign it back to the same variable counter. So basically you're adding 1 to a variable and changing its value by adding 1 to it. So the first time what is going to happen is counter is going to be 1, right? Before we start, that's the first line of code. And then it's going to do this test, and if it's true, then it's going to do the body. So is 1 less than or equal to 5? Yes, that's true. So it's going to print counting colon 1, and then it's going to do this assignment statement. It's going to add 1 plus 1, because counter is 1 right now. 1 plus 1 is 2, and it's going to make counter now become 2. And then what is it going to do? It's going to go back and do the test. It's going to repeat these two steps until the test fails. So now 2 is less than or equal to 5. So it's going to print counting 2, and then counter is going to become 3, and so on. And when this test finally fails or is false, then it will come down here after the whole body, and it will do this step, which is print all done. So I want to show you this while loop in this Python visualizer program. So here's my code up here, and I'm going to show you what happens when we run this program. Okay, so I'm going to show you how this program works in this visualizer. So see this red arrow? This says next line to execute. So it's waiting to execute this line every time I hit forward. It's going to do that. So I'll hit forward, counter is going to get the value 1. It's showing me the variable counter in the memory and its value is 1. And now it's going to do this line while counter is less than or equal to 5. So is that true? Is 1 less than or equal to 5? So that's true. So I'm going to hit forward. It's going to execute that. And because that's true, it's going to do line 7, right? The body. And what is that saying? It's saying print counting colon and counter, which is, remember, counter is 1. So it's going to print counting colon 1. So it finished that. And now it's waiting to do line which is numbered 8. Counter gets counter plus 1. So it's going to add 1 to 1, which is 2, and make that the value of counter. So just watch this right here. When I hit forward, counter is going to become 2. And now where does it go back to? It goes back to the while uh, line of code, and it's going to check, is counter less than or equal to 5? Is 2 less than or equal to 5? Yes, it is. So it's going to now go back into the body. It's going to print counting colon 2, and then it's going to do the assignment statement. Counter gets counter plus 1. 2 plus 1 is 3, so counter is going to become 3. Going to go back and do the test. 3 is less than or equal to 5, so it's going to print counting colon 3, and now counter is going to become 3 plus 1, which is 4, and then it's going to go back and do the test. Is 4 less than or equal to 5? Yes, it is. So it's going to print counting 4. Look, here's the program output. It's printed counting 4. Now counter is going to become 5, and then it's going to go back and do the test. Is 5 less than or equal to 5? Yes, that's true. So it's going to go back and do the body. It's going to print counting 5, as we can see here. Then it's going to make counter be 5 plus 1, which is 6. It is going to make counter 6. Even though, we knew it wasn't going to print it. It's going to make counter 6. It is going to go back and do the test. As you can see here, it's waiting to do this line of code. As soon as I hit forward, is 6 less than or equal to 5? No, that's false. So where is it? Is it going to do the print? No, it's going to jump to the line of code after the body of the while loop, and it's going to print all done. As soon as I hit forward, you can see that it prints all done. So this is how a loop works. I'll show it to you one more time. Really quickly. So counter, see, just look at the red arrow. See how this red arrow is jumping all around, and now it prints all done. One more time. Initializes counter to 1. 1 is less than or equal to 5. Prints counting 1. Counters 2. Prints counting 2. Counters 3. Prints counting 3. Counters 4. Prints counting 4. Counters 5. Prints counting 5, counter becomes 6, the test fails, and it prints all done. So this is how a while loop works.